Good morning and welcome to the desk of Coach Hess. I want to thank each of you for opening up an email I sent out earlier about Empower Your Family and taking a look at that. It gave some details of what we're going to do with that program starting in the third quarter. Of course, I've been running the Empower Your Team for quite some time, and it's been very successful. I wanted to show you a little bit of the details of the reports that are that come out from the assessment. As you probably read an email before, it takes about 20 minutes to do the assessment. And then I spend time going through in the Empower Your Team. I have an individual interview with each person. In the Empower Your Family, we'll have a group meeting with the family and go over the report, make sure you're set up not only individually how to handle the disc and what you've learned from the assessment, but how to apply that not only to your family and in the business side to your team, but also to your customers, and in the case of the family, to your schools, to your team sports, and so on. Let's take a quick look at some of the reports, just so you know what comes out, because it is very detailed, and I wanted to make sure you see both of them. In Empower Your Family, we're wanting to do both the kids disc on the left and also the disc self. This is an example of ones that my wife and I have taken. My wife did the children's disc or the kids disc, and this is my self disc on the right side. So if we look down, first of all, let's take a look at the adult side and my side here. You can see that you get a table of contents. The report's about 40 some pages, so I'm not going to go through all the pieces with you here, of course. But how to use the report, what the information from disc behavior is about in general, goes in and talks about the type of chart that we fit into. As it goes through and describes it, eventually it gets into your specific style. In my case, I'm a networker, right? So that's what I like to do. I'm a high I, of course. And the other things that go with that, you get to see kind of how I react to things emotionally, what my preferred areas are, and especially use this in emotional understanding. And then here you get the actual profile. Kind of interesting when you look at my profile between my natural style, which is the way I would be at home and in my natural kind of higher stress environments, and then on the other side, the adapted style, and that's your work environment. So usually they're pretty consistent. You can see my S, the green bar jumps up a little bit higher. My D drops a little bit between the two when I'm doing work versus when I'm functioning in my home environment. Now let's take a jump over here to the kids side real quick and show you what's going on there. In comparison, it's using birds, right? So the D, I, S, and C, eagle, parrot, dove, owl. Okay, and so as you go through the report, it now talks, here's the table of contents, same kind of thing, but it's done really well for kids, right? The big thing is all of us must understand when we're dealing with this is you are perfect just as you are. And that's so true. And we have to believe that's confidence. That's the thing we instill. That's what this is about. Doesn't matter who you are. There isn't a box to be fit into. It's what comes out from what you've chosen in an assessment. All birds have strengths and challenges. So part of the whole process for the kids then is they go through and they say, which bird are you? Gives them a breakdown of what the birds are, and then it gives them really nice diagrams here of if you're an eagle, this is the kind of things that and you've got a motto. These are the kind of terms that fit for that person or that type of person. The I, right, or the parrot, we can do it. Yeah. Where the dove is, let's help each other. And so each of us kind of have these profiles. Some of us are very balanced across all of them. Some of them are much stronger in one area than the other. It's nice to know how you're functioning and what you're thinking. So that's the purpose of it. That's kind of a quick view, of all the fun things that can be, brought out of this report and how we would bring that together in a very formal structure where we'd sit down for an hour with family, go through, the reports and talk about it. Because the comparisons you get into this, it gets quite, if I show you this chart that I included in the email, you get the idea. If you have a parent that's a high D, but you've got a child that's sitting over here in the C area, that C child's going to ask a lot of whys and hows and wants to know how everything works. They're very inquisitive. They're the owl. What about? Who? Where the parent is an eagle, and they're kind of expecting quick results, quick actions, and why so many questions and maybe not so patient. And if you understand that you're coming from these spaces, well, it works much better. In my relationship with my wife, she's a high C, I'm a high I. So she's got the owl thing going, right? I got the parrot thing happening. Well, she's very concerned about maybe how I look, making sure my collar's right, making sure I don't have any lint on me, making sure my tie's straight if I have one on, and before we understood disc, in our early, I'm going to say we've been married for a long time, but 20 years or so, it was, we didn't understand. I didn't understand that. I was a little annoyed. Not that I ever said anything or made a big deal about it, but now that I understand where she is, every time she does that, I enjoy her doing that. And I love her all the more. So just by understanding these things, we can help each other. So that's what I wanted to share with you. This is the kind of graph we'd come in with the parents, this kind of chart, and we'd have it with everybody placed on it for the whole family or the team, right? I don't want to leave out the fact that I do this with Empower Your Team, same kind of chart where you get to know where everybody else is and you get to talk about it and just get a good understanding. So that's what I'd like to share with you today. I hope that makes sense as to where we would take the Empower Your Team or Empower Your Family program. It's so powerful. And I want to have the opportunity to share with you and your family and your team and business ways to take that forward and just leverage it. It's easy information to get digested. It's easy information to put in place, and it's an easy way to make your life a better life and more successful in all the things you do, because you can communicate better and you just feel more confident in how you communicate, and you learn to listen a little better to each other. And that's very valuable for us as we grow as human beings and grow as a population and society. So, hey, that's what I got to say today from the desk of Coach Hess. A little philosophy for you there, but hey, let's make your team better. Let's make your family better. Let's have some fun with it. All right. Please connect with me. You know how to do it. You've got the email. So I look forward to hearing from you. Over and out from the desk of Coach Hess.